What's up everyone, welcome back. Today is December 23rd, and aside from the fact that it's 2 days until Christmas, it's also a really special day because we have the Hoka Tecton X in my hands. Hoka was kind enough to send these out. They don't drop until May, but we're gonna go for a run today. I'm gonna check them out. This is Hoka's brand new carbon fiber plate trail running shoe, and it's gonna be a fun day. Let's go. All right, well, my first run in the Hoka Tecton X went great. 8 miles out on the trails. It was muddy, it was cold. I didn't really expect for Hoka to actually come out with a brand new model this year in their trail running line. Maybe the Tecton X is kind of replacing the Zenol. There's a lot of similarities between the two. Also, as you've probably heard, they are discontinuing the Evo Speedgoat, which is very sad. This is a very surprising information to hear because the Evo Speedgoat was a favorite among many, including many of their trail running pros. So it's kind of confusing as to why the Hoka Evo Speedgoat is not being continued. I guess we're gonna find out in a few months with the Speedgoat 5 if they took basically everything that was in this shoe and just created the Speedgoat 5 from it. But we don't really know yet. And I don't have the Speedgoat 5 yet. It should be coming soon within the next month or two. Also, last year we had the Torrent 2, which was one of my favorite trail running shoes of last year. Just very nice, light, nimble, quick shoe out on the trails. But the Tecton X is kind of a mix of all of these, honestly. When I put it on my foot, the very first thing I felt was the Zenol. I felt like there were so many similarities between the two, but then as I started to run in it more, it felt more and more like a mix of the Torrent and the Speedgoat. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there are 2 parallel running carbon fiber plates in the bottom of this shoe. They're not stacked on top of each other, which would be, I guess, like illegal in the world marathon races because that would form a spring, and so I'm sure they're not wanting to kind of like test the waters in the trail running world. So we have 2 plates running side by side. They say it's going to give you a little bit extra flexibility on the trails because you're running on uneven surfaces all the time. And so like say you step on a rock like right here, it's going to give you a little bit of give in the middle before all of that force is also applied to the other side of your shoe. So it's going to, like, theoretically provide more flexibility, a little bit more of a nimble shoe, because most of the time carbon fiber plate shoes are just very rigid, but on the trails that can pose some problems. And I have run many miles in the North Face Flight Vective, which you all know about if you've been watching my channel for a while, and I really did like those shoes, but they are very stiff. The Tecton X is like wildly different in my opinion. It was much more flexible, and it was actually a little bit harder to notice the plates. It felt much more like a regular trail running shoe that just gave me a little bit of extra pop, like as I was following through in my footstep. But let's just take a little tour of the shoe. I'll kind of show you around it. The upper is an engineered jacquard mesh, which is, it reminds me again a lot of the Zenol. Like, they're very, very similar uppers in that regard. The heel cutout and everything was pretty similar to the Zenol. One thing I did notice was that it wasn't as narrow as some like the Torrent 2, a little bit wider than the Speedgoat as well. Moving on to the midsole, we have a ProFly midsole, so they've got the 2 separate different kinds of foams. You've got the one foam a little bit more cushiony for kind of that shock absorption, and then a little bit firmer foam for kind of the push off to give you a little bit extra energy. The outsole is a Vibram outsole with light base. There's a little bit less grip on here than the Evo Speedgoat, and also a little bit less than the Torrent 2 as well. Again, felt a lot like the Zenal as far as the outsole grip. So why does this shoe exist, you might ask? And that's a question I actually had. Hoka has so many trail running shoes right now. Like, there's just so many to choose from. So why another one? Why the Tecton X? What is it for? Well, Hoka basically answered that with saying that they are trying to provide a really cushioned signature Hoka feel with the snappy response of carbon fiber plates for the trails. So this is their first foray into carbon fiber plates in trail running shoes. I did get that experience. Like, it did feel really nice and cushioned. It was decently flexible side to side, which was kind of nice out on the trails. It wasn't just super rigid, especially like I mentioned, running over rocks and roots. I felt like I had a little bit of play in the left and right, but then when I was following through with my footsteps, it was really snappy, and that was like a really great feeling out on the trails. Like, I did feel like I was being propelled forward, more so than even like a Speedgoat, Zenal, Torrent, anything like that. One of the big differences between the Speedgoat and the Tecton X is the Speedgoat, the Evo, and the regular 4 version just have one type of midsole material. The Tecton X has that dual material with the ProFly midsole with the softer, cushier, plus the little bit more responsive foam. If I had to pick one of these two for a 100-mile race, like, I would probably be leaning more towards the Speedgoat, just because of it did provide a little bit extra bounce. This one, the Tecton X was just a little bit more firm underfoot. However, it did provide a pretty nice energy savings with the carbon fiber plate. And for all of you Torrent 2 fans out there, these are pretty similar in a lot of ways, but with a few key differences. They both have the dual density ProFly midsole, but as far as the outsoles go, the Torrent 2, I would give it more points for being more light and nimble and better on technical trails. I think that a lot of people are really gonna like this shoe, and I'm very excited to continue my testing with it. For me, the fit was nice. Like I said, it wasn't as narrow in the forefoot, so if you do have a little bit of a wider foot, you're gonna fit in this shoe a little bit better. Comfort level, everything like that, it was just on par with something that you would expect from Hoka. You know, everybody loves the Speedgoats. These are still going to be a massive favorite for 100-milers, but I think the Tecton X is going to challenge a lot of people's ideas of, you know, like, what's their favorite like ultra distance trail running shoe. The shoe drops in May, as I mentioned before, so perfect timing for all of our summer races that we have coming up. If you guys have any questions about the Tecton X, definitely leave them in the comments down below, and I will address them in the full review coming up in probably like a week or two, because I don't think it's going to take long to get this shoe to 50 miles. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Hoka for sending this shoe out for review. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.